What happens when you call the police? Some people believe dialing 911 will get them nothing but a ride to jail. Twin Cities law enforcement officials say they want those days to be over.
Citations issued, arrests made, traffic stops, those are traditional measures of success in law enforcement that just doesn't work anymore.
Inspired by the discussions they had earlier this year, both Ramsey and Hennepin County officials brought in the executive director of a national group called Law Enforcement Leaders to Reduce Crime and Incarceration. Vernal Serpis says incarcerating those battling mental illness or addiction is unproductive.
Dangerous criminals have more time when we have less time.
Serpis says finding an alternative to arrest when it comes to smaller crimes also lines up better with modern police training.
We're not here to put the neighborhood person who's suffering from alcohol in jail. We're here to find the rapist, the murderer, the robber, the burglar.
He explains communities like Tucson, Miami-Dade County, and Seattle have already seen success. And from what John Choi, the Ramsey County attorney, has seen so far, he says people in the Twin Cities are ready too.
We all work for the public, and a part of this conversation about thinking about reducing crime and at the same time reducing incarceration, I mean, there's a lot of people who have been talking about this.
So earlier this year, you might remember Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey announced the police department would stop doing low-level marijuana enforcement. That decision also sort of folds into this category of lowering incarceration rates. Today's meeting was more of an announcement of a brainstorming session, and the same group of leaders say they are looking to meet again in the future. In the meantime, if you'd like to voice your opinion, you can always call your county attorney's office. In the studio, Sharon Yu, KARE 11 News.
Thank you, Sharon.